Hey,
Hey, how are you?
hey, John. Great to meet you. First time speaking together. Doing great, thank you. Yeah, how are you? How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. So,
Hmm.
and every so often, we like to interview people, who have come through the program and kind of, just benefited from it, and kind of get some feedback. Also, if you'd like to provide that, but also kind of just,
Sure.
kind of, gain some more information and value. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, if I want to respect your time, do you want to get straight into it?
Absolutely. Go ask away, whatever
Yeah,
you'd like.
amazing, dude, amazing. So, start very basic questions, no pressure. Whatever say,
Hmm.
however you truly feel, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, when you first joined the program, where were you in regards to, let's say, your trading system, and maybe even your trading psychology?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was an interesting journey. I think that my journey I'm pretty certain that it's actually very familiar to anyone, that's been attempting to go at it for more than a year. Lots of costs involved from a standpoint of courses, other mentors, um, strategies, indicators, information overload, right? I was caught and I was actually doing quite well, to be honest with you. I mean, I learned a ton, no disrespect to any previous mentor. I learned a ton along the way, primarily ICT type of concepts. And so, but the problem was that I was really caught in a boom and bust cycle, right? Where I would do very well and think that I'm on top of the world and then give it all back, right? So it was not boom or bust, it was boom and bust. The bust was inevitable, right? And so I spent the better part of 2025 in that mode. Yes, I've taken payouts, and luckily I've done that. I've dipped into those payouts for other costs and resets, and um, so I could never really get a handle on consistency, discipline. There were things missing, and I came into Tradewriter kind of with that, baggage,
Yeah.
um, the baggage, and so the last thing I really wanted to do, to be quite frank, is to spend more money on yet another mentor
Yeah.
when November rolled around, when I was looking at the trade writer as a mentor. The last thing I wanted to do right after expending so much money during the course of the year. But it was really a great decision. In the end, it was different. He was different. What he teaches is different, and it really resonated to me. And so I took the leap of faith with him, and I've been, quite pleased that I have.
Amazing, dude. I love to hear that. Really, I love to hear it. And
Mhm.
you mentioned, very common thing with traders, especially in kind of the futures and area that we're in, indicator overload. Kind of spamming. I use the word spamming courses, just trying to
Mhm.
find that system that can
Mhm.
kind of again keep that boom bust cycle under control. Especially, with a lot of guys revenge trading, tilting, just kind of trying to win it back. After winning big and kind of
I've
like,
done it
okay,
all. I've done it all.
yep, yep. And I think that's where LCE, kind of trade right mentorship and the LCE kind of method really shines in that it kind of stops you from misbehaving, for lack of a better word, right?
Mhm.
Same, when I've leveraged it, it's like, okay, you're taking X losses, you've had a win, okay, good. Step away from the keyboard and just go for a walk or something, right? And it's, and obviously the whole level, as a trader myself, been a trader for over 10 years. Prior to even like embracing the system, what I would find is that without having the level and the confirmation, like actually something that just keeps me consistent
Mhm.
without mechanical is the word, I guess. It feels like you found that, which is amazing. So where are you now actually with your trading journey, post Tradewriter mentorship?
Right. So I'm at the tail end of the mentorship, coming to the end of the official timeline, but still part of his group Discord, and that will continue, afterward, which is highly valuable. His insights are highly valuable, even to this day when he posts a new YouTube video, which is meant for someone who has never heard of him. I watch them all. And, because there's always something, the little tidbit, even new after having gone through his complete mentorship. I learned something even from his normal YouTube content. But the what Tradewriter has done is he's put guardrails around my life, my trading life. And, it not just because part of the mentorship was, his review of progress using journaling and what have you, because that was the other part of it, was that I was not journaling like I should have. And this really just snapped me into shape. Really, that's what this was. It snapped me into shape. It got everything in order from a standpoint of journaling, from a standpoint of rules to adhere to, which led right into discipline and trust in the system. Early on, when I started to paper trade early, I had some good successes, but even the ones that didn't pan out, I never saw it as a failed attempt. It was actually a very good attempt, but there were things that I was missing. But that's where he came in to set me straight when we had our calls, and not just calls, but DMs on a daily basis if need be, during the course of a trading day. So access was outstanding during the entire process. And I can say there's two things that I can say in the 12 weeks that I've been as part of this mentorship. I started off, of course, paper trading for the first couple of months. Really, January was the first month that I was trading live, my live accounts. And I was to the point where I'm copy trading the live accounts because I have that level of confidence in his methods. But I can say, looking back on TradeZella and my dashboard, that each week was positive, was green. I haven't had I've had losing days scattered, but I haven't had a losing week in the 12 weeks that I was with him. And, it came close a couple of times where, I was with $100, but hey, green is green. And, but using the rules set out, at the end of the week, it was a positive week. And so I was able to parlay that into, better entries, tighter discipline on my stop losses, and placement of the stop losses, which was actually an issue when I first started with Tradewriter. Was my stop loss placement was not up to par, and so I got that into a better shape and had much better results after that. But January was a month where I was trading my funded accounts the entire month. And that doesn't mean every day, because there are days where you don't trade. And that's another thing that Tradewriter brought to the table, was that, if the trade doesn't pan out, if the market doesn't pan out and provide you that opportunity, you don't trade. And that was unheard of in the past for me. That was unheard of. If I was sitting down to trade, I was going to trade, right? I was going to trade.
Yeah.
One way or another, I was going to find a way to trade. But that's not the case with Tradewriter. There was a week where I had one trade the entire week, and I had a very highly profitable week as a result. So, it was January was the first month in my trading career where I haven't blown an account. Okay.
Amazing, dude.
Blown accounts, and I think anybody watching this will understand whoever has made an attempt to trade. Blown accounts are part of the process, part of the life of a trader trying to make it. And really, I look back over the last year and a half, and like I don't remember a month where I haven't had some sort of a blown account, whether it's an eval or a funded account.
Yeah.
And January was the first month where, what came out the other side, and in profits. So, I'm hoping to parlay that into February and to continue on. But no, I'm highly confident that that will happen.
Awesome, dude. I love it. And a few things that stood out, and I just want to touch on them because it's just great. It's really, really good to hear. Like the stop loss kind of fix that Tradewriter helped you with. Interesting, because obviously a lot of people, they're the YouTube channel, and you've probably seen the Instagram as well, and you've seen the tilt proof trader guide,
Yes.
that we dropped recently, and we give a lot away. Like Tradewriter, especially Tradewriter, he gives so much away, but it's the nuance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of like, where is your stop loss placed?
Mm-hmm.
And the LCE system, obviously you can watch the videos and you'll always gain information and value from them. But I feel like that's the magic of the mentorship, that one-on-one communication, being able to DM, jumping on those group calls, seeing the moves that other traders are making, and obviously getting that, like, what do you think about this stop loss? Why, where did I mess up? And being told exactly where you're making those mistakes. And the nuance is what obviously, compounds and gets you to the point where, you had that amazing January month, where you kind of, you break the paradigm, right? You go, and in addition to like breaking, speaking of paradigms, breaking the paradigm that you don't have to trade every day. I'm the same. We get addicted to trade, like you said, you sit down, I've got to find something. Okay. And then what's crazy is sometimes you look and, you mentioned you only did one trade in a week. It's profitable, but sometimes, you sit down and you're like, we force trades. And,
that was my life. Forcing trades is what I did on a daily basis, for the most part. You'd get stretches where the market played nicely and things seemed very easy, but that was by luck, not by design and not by skill. It was by luck. And that's what I've concluded, pre-mentorship, that the success that I had was just that I happened to catch the market in a decent state. But as soon as the market starts to change, for example, December was not an easy month to trade, and even with LCE, and so but it was good to see the difference, and it was good to talk out the difference with Tradewriter, and it became clear that not even every month is a good month to trade. So the last couple of weeks, basically put the mentorship on hold, knowing that this is just not a good time to trade. So Tradewriter did that. So I gave him a lot of props for recognizing that and extending out the mentorship into January and February. But so yeah, you're right. I mean, prior to joining the mentorship, like you and the other people who watch the YouTube videos, it's you try to give it a go yourself, and I did. I drew my own manual levels, and based on my understanding, and threw up some charts and paper traded, and actually could see the value. I was having some level of success even just doing that. But it was doing that made me realize, no, I need more. I definitely need his brain, kind of on call, and that's what the mentorship has done, is to provide that feedback. Even I've reached out on a weekend and he's responded. So the access has been great. It was exactly what I needed. And the future, I think, is really bright as a result.
I mean, perfect, dude, perfect. And curious then, actually, you mentioned the future there. So what's next for you? Where do you see kind of your trading journey headed?
Yeah, just getting better at LCE. I recognize my current weaknesses. I've come a long way in the journey, and I've had success during the mentorship period of time. But I recognize that there are areas that I can still get better in. Entry. Choosing better entries, the timing. Not to be as fine with the grading system. The A plus setup versus say a solid B to B plus setup. Whereas I was looking straight for A setups, which is exactly what TW recommends, but it is. It became very obvious over time that those B plus setups, the near A setups, are very, very highly probable trades that I started to take, and so I think I can get better in that realm. I was trying to be literally just too fine with the entry. No, it's going to be A plus every time, and that's fine. That might present 4 or 5 opportunities in a month, but I can loosen that a little bit and get better at choosing lesser graded but still high probable trades.
Yeah,
That's where I'm going to.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of LCE as well. It's pretty much the only system that I've seen which is truly skill based. It turns trading into a skill based system because you mentioned, game. You mentioned earlier, when we have winning months, it's like it's luck. It's the market was generous. Maybe there was some skill involved. Maybe you saw something, you heard something, and you took action. But with LCE, like you said, you start. You're very aggressive on it has to be A plus. But is your skill and understanding of the frameworks actually improves alongside, along the mentorship, and going back and forth with Tradewriter and understanding more and more and more about which setups you can take, which you can't, which are high probability, you gain that skill, that inherent skill to be able to trade those kind of B plus, on the edge of the A setups. And obviously,
Right.
and you even gain the ability to kind of spot those A's way more often. Well.
And Tradewriter comes right out and says, listen, it's about building intuition, right? And intuition comes with experience and viewing the charts and viewing ES and viewing the levels in the cloud and all of this, and to recognize the behavior and to gain a level of intuition that gives you that confidence to either get in or not on something that is less than an A. And so that's really what that will be a continuous process of improvement there. I don't think I'm even close, to where I need to be. So, I'm encouraged with the success I've had so far, knowing that, really it can only get better if I just tighten up certain aspects of my understanding and of my, of my knowledge, right? So, really the biggest takeaway that I would say from being in the mentorship was simplification. The simplification of my life. Really, it's what it came down to. Where I was looking at the charts all day long. Very highly stressful. He talks about this in his YouTube videos all the time, and he may as well written those videos for me, right? It seems like it, because I think what that means is that it pretty much applies to everyone. And so it was a very high stress, all of the ICT concepts and all of the baggage that I brought was just something that I didn't need to rely on anymore. So indicators and all of these things, I could just strip it all away and bring it right down to the basics that he teaches. And I'm telling you that it just made a complete difference in my whole life and my outlook, in that, I'm not tied to the system. I'm not tied to my computer. I can, place a trade and go to the gym, which I've done. I never would have done that in the past. Never. I would have micromanaged everything and probably lost anyway. But so I think you get the point. The simplification aspect was a huge element for me.
Yeah. This is, and coming from over here, that's probably one of the best things to hear, the simplification and the fact you've got areas of your life back. I think as trader, again, we don't really count screen time. We never really account for it, right? We're like, okay, well, I made this week or this month, but how much time was actually spent on the chair stressing prior, right? And like you said, with LCE, you can actually just gain your life back. And one thing I've found is that the approach almost becomes a philosophy to other areas. You start to look. I personally have done this within my, within the operations of the business. I'm starting to look, how can I apply kind of the simplicity that LCE has to other aspects of a business, the business, or even life. So yeah, I'm just curious. By the way, if Tradewriter could do anything different within the mentorship, or improve anything, or change anything, well, could he? And if so, what would you suggest?
Okay. How about making it 6 months? And so, no, I don't want it to end. Okay. In the end. So I say that tongue in cheek, but that would be self-serving. No, I think the way that it had been structured, the access via DMs, the calls twice a week to review the market. There is a live trading room in the Discord where people can, speak about what they're thinking about doing, and TW would trade, and it will chime in. It's not a signals, for anyone watching this, it's not a signals. It's not you're sitting back waiting for Tradewriter to say, okay, this looks good, we're gonna get in now. No, that's not what he does, nor should he do, right? And now after the fact, if you have questions about it, he's more than happy to analyze with you. But so I don't have any particular area where I think that it could be improved or should be improved at this moment. And I think it was the length of time, as much as I wanted to continue, I thought was outstanding. It was enough time. The training content, the materials, I thought was solid as well. I've gone over it a couple of times. In fact, even recently, I've gone and rewatched some modules, even after, being in my third month. So, you can never get too many refreshers, from that standpoint, And I have no doubt that I could DM him, even after, when this is said and done, he likely would answer, and not be like, hey, you're done, so. But no, I think it's structured well. If I think of anything, I'll certainly share it with you afterward, but right now I don't have anything to add.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I'm sure you would, dude. I've worked with Tradewriter for over 2 years, from the early days, just of Twitter, very small, very, very small account. And it's been amazing to also see everything develop and grow, and the mentorship obviously evolve. And speaking of evolution, you mentioned you don't want it to, the mentorship to end. We're currently working together to kind of think of how we can improve and add layers, graduational layers, let's say. Like you mentioned, wanting to just gain more knowledge, get deeper and deeper into the LCE system. And that's something we're pondering. Like, obviously you have the mentorship, and we're thinking right now, we have plenty of ideas, but how can we truly level up that experience? How can we do better? And I think that's one of the special things about what Tradewriter is doing. I've been a part helping him behind the scenes, but he built the system. He's been and he's been fulfilling the mentorship, right? And he's always trying to kind of take it to the next level, which is beautiful to see. I guess just last question. Is there anything you'd say, just very, very quickly, obviously, anything you'd say to someone who's maybe watching this and they're on the fence, they're 50-50, maybe they're skeptical, because a lot of time, we get hit with skepticism. That's normal, natural. Trading is a very interesting place when it comes to courses, mentorships. But yeah, what would you say to someone who's unsure?
I was there. I was right there. I've spent thousands of dollars on other courses and mentorships and account resets and, just, ridiculous amount of money spent. Then came the decision to join Tradewriter. And again, the idea of digging deep, one more time, what makes this one different? Why is this one different? The other one seemed different at the time. In hindsight, that's not necessarily true. They're all, kind of rehashes of the same thing. This was truly different. And he also, there was a guarantee aspect of it from a standpoint of, being profitable at the end of the mentorship. And if if I wasn't profitable by the end of the mentorship, he would continue to work with that person, myself, whomever, until you become profitable. So that was a big element that got me over the hurdle. You don't see that very often. Occasionally you do, but I thought that was a good policy. Then it was really just taking a leap of faith. And so I did. And, really right out of the gate, it was a good, it felt good knowing that, I was in a program that is different, and not just different, but just simpler. And so it's amazing you have to spend money, to basically undo, over a year or two of what you were learning. I tend to think, and I said this, I actually said this to someone in the Discord, that, I think that someone with lesser experience, I think, would do very well over kind of an old timer like myself coming in with all the baggage, right? Because there have been outstanding trades that I missed, that I did not take, because of all the other baggage that I had. That it was like, well, no, because I know that LCE says, yes, it's a great trade, but what about this? What about this level? What about this fair value gap? What about this order block? What about blah, blah? All these irrelevant things flooded my mind. And so there were trades that I didn't take and I missed because of that. So I tend to think that someone with even lesser experience would hit the ground running, only because they're fresh, right? They don't have to unlearn many of the old concepts. But for the other old timers who have, the battle worn scars of trading like I have, then really it's a breath of fresh air, and so I've never, not once, have regretted the decision to join it, not once. So even within the first couple of weeks where I was semi struggling with, a couple of placements but I knew I was in the right place.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that a bunch. That was incredible interview. And I just love how you fully embraced it. You've taken advantage of everything that was available, the course, the one-on-one, the group, etc. And it's just really nice to see, kind of you get that result. Like you said, the first couple of weeks, learning process, unlearning, we say unlearning and learning.
Yes.
And and here you are, and obviously you're gonna keep it moving.
Right.
Thank you so much for the interview and for taking time out of your day.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before we wrap this up, actually, do you have any questions? Is there anything you want to know, or perhaps you're unsure about, or?
No. Well, the only thing is the intrigue of what you said about what might be coming, post mentorship and new offerings. I'll definitely be keeping my ear out for that, because, you have a believer in me. And so whatever those happen to be, I'll definitely be jumping on board. So I really appreciate that.
No, it's all good. Yeah. And, it's just, and the way we're kind of framing it right now. And again, building on his system, and then, just random context, I've been building businesses for over a decade, right? So we're also working on how can we truly build that next level of kind of expertise, mastery, right? If you look at the way Tradewriter, TW trades, we can, but how do we close that gap? So we get someone to an LCE trader and then get them to like an LCE master. Or, if you look at any sport or, let's belt. Let's say you talk about karate belts or whatever, you know, whatever. How do
Sure.
we get people to that
Levels.
black belt? You know, once they're
Yeah, right.
So we're working on something similar to that. So yeah, you'll be one of the first to know when that comes
Sounds good.
around. Again, really appreciate you taking time out your day for this, and yeah, have a wonderful day, and you know,
You as well.
have a great week trading.
Yeah, thank you, and great to meet you. So
It was
thank you
amazing.
very much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right.